Hello guys, welcome to another awesome session of learning with PrepClass. I am your tutor, Adindu. In today's video, I'll be solving questions 6 to 10 from our AKWA JSCE Integrated Science 2020 past questions. It's usually fun having you guys around, and I know today will be worthwhile. After this video, you must have gained an understanding on how to carefully select the correct answers when solving integrated science questions. Do not forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can also go the extra mile of leaving a comment so we can communicate for effective learning and better understanding. All right, let us zoom in. Question 6 says, aluminium is preferred to iron as cooking utensil because it, option A says, conducts heat, B, does not rust, C, is relatively soft, D, has high melting point. For us to carefully select the correct answer, we need to know which of these options explains the preference of aluminium over iron as a cooking utensil. You should not forget that both elements are metals. So let's take a look at the options again. Conduct heat. That can be the correct answer because both aluminium and iron conduct heat. Does not rust. That looks like the correct answer because aluminium doesn't rust, which makes it preferable to iron. Only iron rusts. C is relatively soft. That does not make it a preference over iron as a cooking utensil. Has high melting point. That still does not make it a preference over iron as a cooking utensil. So our final answer and the correct option is B, does not rust. Aluminium don't rust. Rusting is a term peculiar with iron, but aluminium corrodes when exposed to weather and atmospheric oxygen. All right, let's proceed. The next one says, the nerve which takes message from ear to the brain is A, auditory, B, nerve ending, C, optic, D, olfactory. Now, when you look at all of these options pertains to sensitivity or sensing. But the question is specifying which nerve is responsible for taking a message from ear to the brain. Now, let's carefully analyze all of these options to see which one explains our question. Auditory. When you hear the word auditory or from the word audible, you know it pertains to hearing. Hearing. Yes, auditory, audible. It pertains to hearing. So that looks like our correct option. So the auditory nerve would be that nerve that takes message from ear to the brain. But we still have to explain other option, nerve ending. The nerve ending ends a nerve and connects with other nerves, so it cannot be nerve ending. Option C says optic. Optic has to do with sight, so optic nerve cannot be the nerve that takes a message from the ear to the brain. And option D says olfactory. When you hear the word olfactory, it has to do with smell. So it does not answer our question. The correct option would be A, auditory. The nerve which takes message from the ear to the brain is auditory. So it hears the message and takes it to the brain, and the brain interprets the message. All right, let's move to the next one. The danger symbol above represents higher dash chemical. The danger symbol above represents higher dash chemical. Option A says flammable chemical, B, explosive chemical, C, toxic chemical, D, oxidizing chemical. Now, if you've been to a laboratory, you must have seen some of all these symbols, and all of these symbols have what they represent. So we are going to explain this with other pictures to see which best explains our question. So I have helped us to bring other pictures that explains. You can see this explains flammable. You can see the fire around it. Why this one explains explosive. It represents explosive. This represents flammable. You can see the fire sign. So whenever you see this sign on the bottle or as a sign in an industry or in a laboratory, it means that chemical is flammable. This also represents explosive. So when you see this kind of symbol, you know it is explosive. Why this one here represents toxic? So that gives us the answer to our question, toxic. And the final one here, this represents oxidizing. You can see it's looking more like flammable, but it has a circle, then a fire sign around it. So you need to take note of this. But our correct option would be toxic. All right, let's check it out. C, toxic. So this symbol represents that the chemical is toxic. It is poisonous and can lead to death. So you have to be careful when entering the laboratory. You wear your lab gadgets and look out for such signs. All right, let's move on to the next one. Question 9. Which of the following is a natural chemical substance? A, cosmetics, B, insecticide, C, fertilizer, D, table salt. For us to carefully select the correct option, we need to know which one is a natural chemical substance and the rest that are artificial chemical substance. So how do we get this done? We have to do this by analyzing all of the options. Let's start with A, cosmetics. We know cosmetics to be made for the beautification of the human body. So cosmetics are substances made by men for beautification of human body. That is not the correct option. What about B, insecticide? You know, insecticides are also chemical substances produced by man for killing of insects. They are chemical substances, yes, but they are produced in the industry for killing of insects. So that's not the correct option. C, fertilizer. This is also a chemical substance produced for boosting the growth of crops on farm. So it is also a chemical substance, but it is produced artificially. So what about D, table salt? Table salt is actually a chemical substance which we use for various purposes, especially for seasoning our foods. It's also used for the preservation of food substance and also in the laboratory for other chemical analysis. But the table salt, is it a natural occurring substance? Yes, it occurs naturally as sodium chloride. They can be gotten from sea water. They occur naturally as sodium chloride. So the correct answer should be table salt. D, table salt is our correct answer. All right, let's move on to the next one. Question 10 says, a relationship in which an organism benefits and the other is not affected is called A, commensalism, B, parasitism, C, predation, D, mutualism. You must agree with me that all of these are relationships, or all of these explain relationships between organisms. But one of them is the best option for our answer. So we need to define all of the options for us to carefully select the correct answer. Let's look at their definitions. Commensalism, an association between two organisms in which one benefits and the other derives neither benefit nor harm. So that definitely is our correct answer. The other derives neither benefit nor harm. So it is not affected. But let's still look at other options. Parasitism, the practice of living as a parasite on or with another animal or organism. We know parasites definitely feed on their host, so it causes harm to their host. That is actually not the correct answer. Predation is an interaction which an organism, the predator, kills and eats another organism, eats prey. That's a lot of harm. For you to kill an organism is a lot of harm. So the other organism is quite affected. So that's not our answer. Mutualism describes the ecological interaction between two or more species where each species has a net benefit. So there is an effect on the other species. They have a benefit. They gain from one another. So our correct option, as we all know, is commensalism, a relationship in which an organism benefits and the other is not affected. This is how much we can take for today in this video. I would like to implore us to join our WhatsApp group following the link below so we can get updates about more videos and communicate effectively. And we can also comment on the previous videos we've seen. It was wonderful hanging out with you guys. Till I come your way again. Bye.